Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. And who couldn't use a little bit more rest? I think every single one of us could. And what a promise our Lord makes in today's gospel. Promising us rest. Those of us who labor, those of us who are burdened, if we come to him, he promises us rest. And the truth is, guys, your labors are many. Your burdens are great. Every single person in here has numerous labors and sometimes impossible burdens. Not just with jobs and work, but your families, if you're a student, your grades, being good students, extracurriculars, those of us who are out of school, caring for our families, your marriage, the tremendous amount of work that takes, the burden that can be, raising your children, being grandparents, not to mention the gift of a social life and friendship, and those you have yoked yourselves to and promised to care for and support. Our labors are great. Your labors are numerous, and your burdens are great. And then our Lord says, "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." And at first, this is confusing, at least to me. Because on top of all the other responsibilities, the labors and the burdens that we have, you and I both know that if we approach our Lord in any serious way as disciples, our labors don't decrease. Our burdens don't decrease. They increase. They grow. Even last weekend, when we read and heard from the 10th chapter of Matthew, our Lord said, "Anyone who does not take up his or her cross is not worthy of me." And then this weekend we hear seemingly the opposite, a contradictory statement from our Lord. "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." And so which is it? Which one is true? Because it certainly seems that those of us who have taken up the cross of discipleship, labors increase, burdens increase. Whether you are a part of a committee or a council, whether you support our parishes in school, in social events like festivals and raising money, whether you support our school as teachers, as parents, as students, all the events and burdens and labors associated with that, whether you are a part of youth group as a youth, or you participate in it as a leader, even coming to Mass itself increases our labors, increases our burdens. It is work even just to get to Mass. But the truth is that both statements of our Lord are true. There is a cross that will always increase the labors and always increase the burdens by simply just being disciples. But that doesn't make his promise for rest untrue. So how is that promise true? "Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest." And he does this twofold. First is after we have done the work, the hard work of just getting here, Just getting ourselves up on a Sunday morning when we could sleep in, when we could be doing other things, or just lounging around and resting ourselves, but not in the Lord. Once we get the work done and complete of getting ourselves here, do we empty ourselves here? A little bit more work of reflecting on our past week, our labors, our burdens, our joys, our successes, our failures. And do we engage in that ancient practice of meditative and imaginative prayer, of laying down those labors, laying down those burdens in prayer right here at this altar, in front of this cross? Do we do just that little bit more work of emptying ourselves so that our Lord can fill us with his life, with his rest? And he does this with his entire self. He gives us all that he is in the Eucharist. We should feel empty because we have emptied ourselves. And he will fulfill his promise of filling us with his rest. So that first point that helps our Lord fulfill that promise is, how are we approaching Mass? Whether it be daily Mass, but most especially Sunday Mass. And two, connecting with him directly on a daily basis in the midst of lives that is already filled with labors and overburdened, where you have no time. Make time to go to him directly in prayer. And yes, bring your petitions, bring your intentions in prayer, bring your burdens and unburden yourself in prayer, in silent prayer. And then sit or kneel and do nothing with our Lord in this act of self-emptying prayer, and allow him to fill you again by giving you rest and giving you his life. Our Lord makes this promise that he will give us rest, not from work itself, not from burdens themselves, but to give us a break and to make it a little bit easier to get back at it, a little bit lighter when we approach it. But we have to come to him. That is his command. Come to me, all you who labor and are burdened, and I will give you rest. Our Lord doesn't make this promise in vain to us, and it is up to us to come to him at Mass and in prayer, so that he can fulfill the promise of giving us rest from our life's labors and burdens.